This is the G Shit Podcast, where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom, and our future, and everything else. This is the G Shit Podcast, and today we got a special guest, Old Hillside Bourbon Company. We getting right to it. Let's go. You already know what it is. Once again, this is the G Shit Podcast, where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom, and our future, and everything else. This is the G Shit Podcast. We got a special guest, Old Hillside Bourbon Company. Let's bring them on right now. Round of applause for the gentleman.
Top five intros ever.
Top five intro. I agree. I love it, bro.
Word up, man. Shout out to y'all, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all for joining. I am so looking forward to getting into this conversation, man. It was 5 o'clock, a little before 5 o'clock, so I've been enjoying the bourbon all day, trying to make sure I can really feel the vibes and get into this conversation and really ask these questions from a place of feeling, if you know what I'm saying. So shout out to y'all, man. Just in case y'all wondering, that's what I'm on tonight, man. I'm on that last ride, Old Hillside. You could definitely go find that in your local ABC, especially if you in Durham, man. We gonna have to talk about it though. That's the premium right here. We go see what was the thought behind it, but that's that premium right there, baby. So we got Old Hillside in the building. I want each of you to just sort of introduce yourselves and your title and how you want to present yourself to the audience. If we got a volunteer, I like to volunteer to see people trip over. So I want to see how coordinated y'all are. Is there a volunteer to just get us started with these intros?
I mean, let's go.
I knew it. I knew he was going to start off. Go.
Give us a respect and let's do the seniors first out of respect. You know?
Whose man is this?
That's what time he on all the time. That's what time he on.
Hey, so I'll start, man. I'm Jesse, co-founder, managing director, Old Hillside.
Who's next?
Nah, it'll be me. I'll go. Hey, I'm Brian Burton. I am one of the co-founders and managing directors.
Yeah, Courtney Tucker, one of the co-founders, managing director.
And Emmanuel Waters, co-founder, managing director.
So tell me, why did it end up going in that order? What's really at play here? I feel like there's something at play here. Nobody just wants to explicitly say, like, what's up with the order here? I'm just curious.
Don't start.
Jesse is the architect. Jesse brought all of us together. So in that order, we got those calls.
Let's just say that first call happened at 6 a.m. on a Saturday, and it wasn't too receptive, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's how we got the co-founder, managing director.
And so Jesse's the architect, but who actually knew each other first in this dynamic? Like, who met who first and when? Curious to hear.
That would be me and Courtney, pre-K.
Pre-K.
Yeah.
Okay.
We always say second grade, but this guy's got to be pre-K.
It's got to be pre-K.
All right, and we are everybody born and raised in Durham, correct?
No, I'm Durham. I'm Southside Durham to the heart, man. So yeah,
Southside Durham.
Hey, why you gotta use the gunshot? I was describing my thing,
I didn't know we were going to found footage or anything. You should have gave me a warning.
You see me? I jumped a little bit.
My bad, man.
All good.
Yeah.
All good.
I'm from Parkview Heights.
Okay, yep. I'm from grew up in Parkview.
Parkview. Shout out to Parkview, man. Yes, indeed. Not too many gunshots out there. Psych. It goes down in Parkwood too. We know this, man. No. And what about you, Emmanuel?
I'm actually from Greenville, so shout out to East Carolina Pirates.
Okay.
Down these boys.
Okay, so I appreciate that intro in terms of the backgrounds. Now I'm kind of like evaluating the dynamics because I've met I've spoken with Jesse. I've spoken with Brian. This is my first time meeting Emmanuel and Courtney. And I'm just sort of throwing things out there literally just to see how people react. That's literally sort of what I'm kind of doing right now. So you might be saying like, what's up? I'm just trying to get a read on the room, not being literally in a room. And so with this dynamic of, so Courtney and Brian met each other for the first time or met each other first. What pre-K we talking? Like what's the name of that place and does it exist today in Durham?
Man,
that was in Tyler's Academy for me, and then Lakewood it was kindergarten.
Lakewood Kindergarten. Pilgrim Church Center. I think Pilgrim Church Center is where we first like met. I don't know if you remember that beat. Like that
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was.
I didn't even know this. I'm hearing this for the first time right now.
Yeah, this before Christ. I'm not sure what year.
Pilgrim.
And then Moses led us out of. But that would have been the first time. Actually, that would have been the first time we existed in the same room.
I know by just sort of the takeaway, like old Hillside, but before we get to Hillside, I'm gonna kind of go like a round table here. And so since Brian and Courtney, man, I'm actually gonna start here with Courtney because I've yet to really speak to him as much. So Courtney, I'm curious. So I'd like to highlight what it was like growing up in Durham, especially for people watching this, because I think it's special just personally that y'all have this bourbon and being from Durham, and it clearly speaks to a local just by what you've named it, right? And I want people to kind of hear like some of the schools, the hallways you walk, like I want people to just know like this is a homegrown sort of situation. So I'd be curious, like what was your matriculation from elementary to middle before you got to Hillside?
No, that's a great question, man. I think for me, Durham is a place where I got all of my who I am today. You know what I'm saying? All of my core values, everything that I believe in, from a religious standpoint to just the day-to-day, how I live my life, man. And so I was raised by a community that if you did something wrong, they will discipline you. The neighbor, friends, my grandmother, everybody would just discipline you and you can get you on the right road. And so that's how I grew up. And then all through school, man, through elementary school, through junior high school is where I met Jesse in junior high, in middle school, we call it now. We would run around, have fun, live free. But we always had those core values, man. I see Jess. I used to take his lunch money. I want to.
I knew you. Wow.
And what school is this? What school is this?
Rogers Herb Middle School.
Oh, shout out to Rogers Herb, man. I went to Rogers Herb, but it was it only 6th grade when y'all went, or was it
You a wild guy.
Y'all make me sound like real old.
Hey, let's go. We gonna have to. Hey, man. Shout out to Rogers Herb, man.
Hey, I think Emmanuel told him to say that.
Yes, we did.
Then from there, man, I took a turn. I left these guys. You know what I'm saying? I didn't make the Hillside push. I went to Jordan.
Hey, shout out to hey, I knew it was something about starting with this, man. Fellow fucking in the house, man. We going in, man. I know it's on Hillside, but can we just make some noise for Jordan one time, man? Because we don't get enough respect in the city, man. We don't get enough respect. That's all I'm saying, man. I appreciate
Hillside
that.
took all the respect. Hillside took all the respect. So hey, we'll give y'all a little bit.
I was in Hillside every day after school. I was at Hillside for the let out. I was at Hillside for the let out. You know what I'm saying? So, no, but there's a lot of respect there for Hillside, North Carolina Central. Like, we all were close knit. You know what I'm saying? Through elementary school, through middle school, and then we split off in high school. And then from there, man, I don't think I talked to these guys, man, all through my college years. Like I maybe seen B maybe once or twice on the yard over Winston-Salem State when I used to, roll up there to the party.
We got Winston-Salem State alumni on the call too.
Yes, we do.
Oh man, this is great, man. Oh man, we gotta give it up. It's just let's go, man. Let's go.
Yeah, I went to Fayetteville State after I graduated.
We gonna shout out Fayetteville State too, man. We gonna shout out everything black tonight, man. That is a fact.
Word up. Through the pandemic is when we really caught up. And that kind of starts the old Hillside story. And you know, I got a call from Jesse and Brian, and they were like, "Yo,
I gotta pause right there. Okay. So we got that. So let me actually then switch it here to Emmanuel. So you were from Greenville, P territory, waving it like a helicopter and came to Durham. What age did you get here? And like, do you call Durham home or do you call somewhere else home? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I would call Greenville home because that's where I grew up. Durham was the big city, right? So they got all the, y'all got airport. I'm country, man. Like my folks. So if you don't know, Courtney's actually my blood cousin. So people don't know Courtney's actually my cousin. But we never grew up together. So when he come to the sticks, he'd be like, "Yo, Watersville, man, they's country. I mean, we backwoods outside of Jacksonville. I mean, they're in one stoplight in the town. So." Yeah. If we coming to Raleigh, it's a big weekend. We coming to we come to this area, it was a big. So I was considered Greenville home, and I would say just in general, North Carolina as a whole is home, man. I love being here, and so anybody asks, so I say Hillside class 2000, they adopted me. I'm a son.
Welcome, E. We love you, bro.
Yeah, he's much younger than us. Much younger. He always like.
So hold on. What year did you graduate from Hillside?
2005. I'm adopted class 2005 at Hillside.
Okay, word.
He got one of them Shaq degrees.
Well, it's funny because we left. My pops is military, so we're better known. Jesse was in the service as well. My dad was Air Force, so I left North Carolina and then went overseas. But in terms of all purposes, my family and stuff, they're all here in Durham and Greenville. So all summers, all breaks, I was here. So this is home.
Okay. And so you grew up. You had like a diverse experience growing up. Like, did you have to relocate due to your pops being in the Air Force?
Yes, sir. So literally every 4.5 years, I was bouncing all over the place. So EBA Cop Middle School in Greenville, then went to Goldsboro when he was at Seymour Johnson. Yep, we was there for a minute, then bounced, went overseas for a little bit, then came back, went East Carolina for a minute. So literally every 3 years, we was all over the place. So finally made it to the West Coast, and believe it or not, I had never met Courtney, my cousin, until I got to California. So.
Oh wow. Okay. So we're gonna circle back to that. Okay, I think that's a good. All right. So let me save the architect for last. So let me bring Brian in here. All right.
Wow. Oh, really? Oh, wow.
It's about to get real interesting.
Yo, that was a quick segue. Okay. All right. My bad.
So okay. I heard you mention Lakewood. I heard you mention what was before Lakewood?
Tyler's
Academy. Wow. Okay. All right. So what was your sort of journey from elementary to middle before ultimately getting to Hillside?
Oh man, it was I went to Fairfield Street Middle School. Elementary school. Fairfield Street Elementary School. So those people, from of course Parkview, Mutual Heights and all of those everybody all the way up in there. You got a few people from Mecklenburg, but you didn't get many. So that was the early friendships that here we go. We're going to be, because I think Durham is a little different than most other cities where people who grow up together from such a young age continue to be friends, even if they're not in steady contact. So matriculated from Fayetteville Street to Rogers Her. So now you introduce them to West End. You might have had one or two people from Few Gardens, places like that, because that would have been Holton, but you would still get some some random people from over there. Fairfield Street projects, all of those people. So those became friends too. So, and everybody was the same. We were all the same. It was no difference. And so then came Hillside, which pretty much brought in everybody from the southern part of Durham. Which is really the northern part of Durham. You don't ever discuss that on this podcast, how people from the south side of Durham, like geographically.
It is a difference. There's a line.
That's how they catch the out of towners up. That's the way to get. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong podcast.
No, you gotta. I appreciate you mentioning that, because it does highlight the reality of what it's like before, say, Durham became what it is today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's how everything became. Where it is now, to all these guys being my friend, and of course, I'm meeting Emmanuel through the Courtney. So knowing these guys, 30, 35, 40 years, nothing's ever changed. It's still B, Jesse, and Rock. It's B, Tuck, Court, whatever you want to call them. People from Durham got like 35 names, so the government. If you know the person's government name, you really know them, and you from Durham. It's official.
Yeah, that is a fact.
So that's the friendship, man. That's the friendship.
Okay, and last but not least, so Jesse, tell me, elementary to middle, before we get to Hillside, what was that experience like for you? And give us the names of those schools so the people can hear them.
So I went to W.G. Pearson, K through 5, and then I went to Rogers Harris 6th grade. And I think they did it by alphabetical order. So Brian Burton and Carpenter. So me and him been in the same homeroom since 6th grade.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I know, right? All right.
It was by last name. I do remember that.
Yeah.
That's funny. I haven't heard that term in years.
Wow. I thought they still did.
We've been stuck together since. I tried to change my last name and everything, but So yeah, man, that's the journey, man. And then I went to NCCU, and then I joined the military from NCCU.
Oh, okay, veteran.
Yes, sir. The United States Air Force.
Okay. How long did you stay in before you left the Air Force?
About 10 years total. A combination of active and civilian. So
okay. I always ask people because my uncle, I share this, and I got to show his book, Dark Horse. He's actually a retired 4-star general in the Air Force. And at the time of when he retired, I think he was one of 9 total like black 4-star generals like in the history of the Air Force.
Yeah.
And he went beyond the 20 years. And so like I have another uncle who was in the Air Force, but he did his 20 and he was like, I'm good. Like I was only getting my 20 and I was gone. So I like to ask people, why didn't you go for the full 20? If you don't mind sharing.
It just changed, man. The whole sense of family left the Air Force. They tried to adopt the same model as the Army. The Air Force was different, and they tried to have the one military approach. It just wasn't the same, man. It was, I was forced to get some shots I didn't agree with, and it's that I love the military. I'm not even gonna lie, but it is some propaganda that I didn't like. Mm-hmm. And my job, it was weapons, so it was some things ethically that I did that I didn't agree with, but I had to do it. So, other than that, man, it was good to me. Hey, man, the discipline I learned there was just incredible, man. I get a lot of job offers just because I was in the military, and they know the discipline that comes with that. So, and then I proved them wrong. Obviously, when I get there, they was like, this dude here ain't nothing like I thought he was. But no, yeah, man, that's why I got out. So,
okay, I appreciate you sharing that, man. Okay, so I appreciate everybody going through the backgrounds in terms of growing up in Durham, mentioning the schools. I just think that's important, especially from people from Durham, to hear that more often, because you don't really hear those like authentic stories, people who are in the same streets and neighborhoods and schools and hallways. So I appreciate y'all sharing that. Someone said Jesse was the architect and you got a call at 6 a.m, right? So before we get to the idea of like, how do I put this together? Like, who fell in love with the bourbon? How did bourbon become the center point of the business? Like, this is the thing that we should do. Like, I want to understand that.
So to tell the story, man, I moved to Kentucky 2014. I wasn't a bourbon guy. I didn't like it, but I was working as a quality engineer, so I appreciated the process of bourbon. So I was downtown Lexington. I took a picture of this building downtown and I posted it. And Brian posted the exact same picture like a week before. So he was like, man, what the hell are you doing in Lexington? I said, man, what are you doing in Lexington? And he was like, I'll be up there next week. I'm like, whatever. He drove up to Lexington. He said, my homeboy's up here. It's a deeper story behind it. So now I know why he drove up there next week. So and he drove up, man, and he was like, yo, I'm gonna put you on to something. And he took me to my first distillery. And Brian's also a photographer, right? Sorry about that. He's a photographer and he was capturing this moment. So we had the opportunity through his friend to tour old Colonel Taylor's distillery. So if you know the history of bourbon and if Colonel Taylor ain't in your story, then you really don't know it. His facility shut down in like 1980 or something like that. And an investment group called Castle and Key bought it. And we had the opportunity to be the very first group to tour that distillery. out there.
wow.
It's been closed for like several decades. And Brian was just out there capturing the pictures. And when we reviewed the pictures, every picture saw me just staring into space, looking at all the pot stills in there, everything about the bourbon. And I told him before we left there, I said, man, I'm gonna get me one of these one day. And this here was like 4 years before we even had this a vision. I just said, man, I'm gonna get me one of these. Didn't know what the heck I was gonna do with it, but I was gonna get me one.
Can we put a date on when this trip was? Like, what year was this?
2014 or 15. I can't remember the actual date.
The inception. Like, I love this sort of stuff, if I can nerd out for a second, because like the inception of a thought and like the power of like the universe is so mental, and it all starts with a thought. Like, and that thought comes from somewhere, but like where do they come from? And then you experience things and you go through life, and then it's like, and it's just like, I just want to highlight, like,
Yeah.
So you weren't into bourbon, but Brian, you were into bourbon. Is that like you actually were an enthusiast? And sort of like what was up with that to say, I gotta get you here?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say an enthusiast per se. More, I enjoyed drinking spirits because I lived in Boston for a couple of years. So, I got into drinking other spirits outside of the classics, that we all drink within our culture. So,
No Hennessy.
Expansion, expanded my palate. And so going to, I think everybody's had Jim Beam before in their life, hey, there it is right there. If you had Jim Beam, you've had bourbon. And so, outside of that, when I got the chance to go to suburban country, because, I heard so much about the history, I was like, let me go try it, Again, not a connoisseur, not an enthusiast. I just enjoyed spirits. And so, it was cool tasting. I had no idea of the background of it. So, going to Lexington was real, it was opening. It opened my mind to other stuff. And then of course going to the horse races as well.
Now, the horse races. Like, were you doing the horse race? Like, I thought that like you got some money. Like, I hate to just put like, I thought horse races was like rich folk activities. Like, just don't go to horse races. Like,
time to school them.
I want to kind of like, how was y'all just leisurely going to the Derby? Like, I just like, or like, what do you mean horse races? Like, just give me some insight on that. Like,
yeah, like traditionally what you see on TV, it's the real horse races, like the Belmont Stakes, of course the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, the light joints, the little Belmont. Yeah.
And I had the chance to go, but and that was an experience. I've been to NASCAR. I just like going to experience weird stuff like that. So to have the opportunity to go and just see what it was all about, to see the atmosphere, to see the people dressed up, all of that, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. But as Jesse could tell you, it was just me and him.
That was the fun about it.
2 pieces of coal in the snow pile, So we like, yo, hey, we gotta. What's up with this? Why are we not here? And so that here we go. Here's another piece of it. And so, hey man, the guy came up to us actually in one of our tastings in Durham and said, man, it's an African proverb that your ancestors speak to you. And so Jesse family, man, that's they've been in spirits for a long time. So
hey, I don't think we can speak about that yet.
right. So obviously it's got to be his ancestors speaking from the from the next realm, telling him, hey man, y'all can do this.
Yeah,
that is crazy. So were y'all doing horse races before that distillery tour?
We had done one or
two.
Yeah, it was the same weekend. I think we actually we hit the distillery first, and then we went to the horse racing. And so I lived there and I heard about the horse racing, but the same thing you said, I'm like, bro, I'm not going there. That's not for us. And we went, I threw on this bright purple shirt and a bow tie. And I was like, bro, we could look stupid out here. And we went out and we fit in perfectly. And I asked B, I said, man, where are the black people? And then from that point on, bro, we opened up a floodgate that was just changed our lives. Actually, man, it changed our lives. So yeah, man, we are just trying to tell these stories through bourbon, bro. That's all we're trying to do.
See, I'm putting the pieces together. So that's
Yeah,
why
you
this
see it?
joint is named after James Soup Perkins.
Yeah. So if you look at the bottle, there's four. That's our Mount Rushmore of black jockeys.
Let me just do this real quick, just to show people what we talking about, man. Let me just do this real quick, and I think they can still hear you if you want to keep talking.
Yeah. No. So that's a Mount Rushmore. So out the beat, I made the comment to him about the black jockey. Say, you know me, I'm Googling like, yo, it got to be some black people in here. And when we Googled, it was like, bro, we own this sport. We own this sport. So, and just like, I'm like, if you look at the two kids on the end of the bottle, they were 16-year-olds when they won the Kentucky Derby.
When you say 16, the end, we talking this side here? Or
yeah, actually, who's the bottle is named after? Who's that bottle named after that you have?
This is James Soup Perkins.
Yeah, so Soup Perkins won the Derby at age 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the youngest to win it until the guy on the other end of the bottle, Alonzo Clayton, won it 2 years after he did.
Wow.
So and just digging in that history and forcing us to just learn, man, like, why are we here? And that floodgate opened and we were just like, oh my God. I get texts from Emmanuel like, hey man, have you heard of this jockey before? I'm like, bro, where you find this dude at? And it's infinite. And Bryant, just like, he got access to files that nobody on earth has seen, but like 12 people. We got access to these prominent African-American jockeys doing things that the African-Americans didn't do in the 1800s. And it just brings the chills.
So when these accomplishments took place, the time frame was, when you say 1800s, we're talking post or pre-slavery?
Isaac Murphy, he was doing the emancipation. So he was right at the beginning of freedom. But if you know anything about Kentucky was the last state to find out that their slaves were free. So he was kind of in that mix to where he was free. But when he was freed, he did what he was supposed to do. Dude was making $10,000 a race per race, and he would race like 6 races in a week. Well, on a Saturday in the 1800s. So, and the two teenagers that won it was 1896 and 1898 respective. So, I mean, man, these guys dominated, man.
Wow. I had no clue. Like this is great because it's like, like, that's a crazy, yeah, it's like that like, you don't even, it's not even a sport of ours that gets discussed. Like, nobody like is talking about the Derby or the Belmont, like, you know, and the fact that y'all experienced this. So okay, so if y'all two, so Emmanuel, when did you experience your first horse race in Kentucky?
Yeah. So it's so crazy. So like I said, during the pandemic, I want to back up just a little bit because earlier you mentioned the power of spoken word. During the pandemic, this is no exaggeration to God. Now, I talked to, at that time, me and Courtney had met and we had hung out. And during the pandemic, you know, we were in California, we locked down. I mean, you can't even barely go outside your house, right? So we were checking in. And that day, I mean, it was rough. We watching George Floyd on TV. And I literally in my office, I am reading an article that says Black wealth to diminish by 2040. I read this article. I said out loud, I said, man, I would love to do something to generate generational wealth. I did not say anything else. That's all I said. Literally an hour later, Courtney is calling me and saying, hey man, these brothers are coming together to start a bourbon company. And I said, what? Literally then the next, I think it was that weekend, I drove to LA and got on the call with these brothers. And then when Jesse told me about the black jockeys, we started doing research. And I literally said, oh my God. I never heard of it. And I'm a history buff. Like I'm like Malcolm X 2.0. I'm on all black. You know, I was in shock, and we started doing this research, and I'm like, man, I mean, I was blown away. Complete, I'm floored. And so that was 2020, and then we were going to do the horse races that year, but then COVID shut it down. So then the following year, we all got out there, and man. The
whole team, y'all shut it down. We like,
listen, man. So I was kind of suspect too, because I'm like, it ain't really for us. You see the celebrities out there, so I get on B's and Jesse's social media. I'm like, what were they dressing like at the horse race? So I can be. I saw they was out here flash. I said, let me go get my hot pink suit and a hat. You know, and yeah, that was 2021, and we've been back ever since. Every year we do it. So,
is it a specific race y'all do every year, or do y'all kind of do like a series of races? How does that work?
So it's some pre-races before the Derby. So in Kentucky, man, they got this racetrack called Keeneland. Keeneland is a very, very historic track, and we go to Keeneland every year. So Keeneland, you'll see the pre-races for the Derby. So you see a lot of top people there, owners and everything. But before I go, I want to say this. Back in the story, when we had the dream, Courtney posted his first ever bourbon picture on his Instagram 2 days after me and Brian started our company. So I text B, I was like, yo, look at Courtney's Instagram right now. And he was like, call him. I said, you call him.
And there was no communication. There was no communication.
2 days after we started the company, he started posting cigars and bourbon. Talking about how much he was in love with it. And then through him, that's how we met E.
Okay. And so, so with that said, all right, this is cool to hear, because now I'm even seeing like this an empty bottle I got over here.
Good.
But this got the school, so it's got this old school on the back of the joint in the background, right? I can being local, I could tell what that is. And I was looking, I'm not gonna lie to you. So I gotta come back here because y'all got different names. I'm seeing Mother Ruby.
Wow.
oh, you got Mother
That's a new one. That's a new one. That's a brand new one. Dang, he sprinted through that bottle.
Shit.
So
I got two of them Mother Rubies. What we talking about, man?
so and one of the things we do, man, everything we do is single barrel, right? So we name the barrel that we dump out the stuff just close to us. Mother Ruby was actually funny story. The guy who Bryant came up to see in Kentucky, this is how full scale it is. The gentleman who Brian was in Kentucky with 2 weeks prior, his mom name is Ruby. So, and she passed away early this year. So we commemorated her because people don't know the tie between Mother Ruby and Old Hillside. So Brian was good friends with her son, and that's why Brian was coming to Kentucky. So when bourbon guy, big time bourbon guy, he's the one that got us into that distillery. So he is a vital part of this. He is the cog that brought all this together. Unknowns to him, he has no clue what his role was in this.
I got a pause. I wrote a note. I'm circling back to that. I want to holler at Courtney real quick. So Courtney, you, before you even knew about a bourbon company, would you call yourself an enthusiast, or how would you describe your relationship with bourbon?
So, that's the only thing I drink. I started out drinking Jack Daniels, which is whiskey, right? So I was the only one who drinking, in the clubs. Growing up, I always drank Jack Daniels. Like I never drank anything else. So that's like throughout, junior high school, college. And then, when I became, I had enough to buy something,
Wait, what?
buy something else.
Can we edit that? Are we live? And Miss Barbara.
I know he did.
You caught that. I didn't even. I was like, what?
Yo, man, hold up, man. Yo, whose fake ID did you have? Where was you going in junior, like with the Jack Daniel? Like, yo,
but that's how hard we used to go. So look, my stepdad had a bar, in the basement, and so I would go to his bar because Jack Daniels was his drink. I would go to his bar, pour some Jack Daniels, and fill it up with water. So whenever we can go out, whatever, I'll hit Jack Daniels up. And so that was, on top of that, he used to make corn liquor. You know what I'm saying? He used to make corn liquor. I've always had, a connection, early connection.
Age. Yeah.
Hey, this is your lineage, buddy. I know you're proud.
Hey man, that's the other side of the family. That's the mother's side.
So I've always had that, and passion for it, I guess you would say, and during the pandemic, I started, tasting different bourbons, trying different things out. And I would post them on Instagram. And I am a cigar fan too. So I was a cigar fanatic. I love cigars. And then, that kind of ties into the bourbon, perfect pairing for the bourbon. So during the pandemic, I was just smoking different cigars, trying different bourbons, different tastings. And so one of the posts, I guess, caught the eye of the fellas. And just getting a call. So I was posting like every week, because we were all, we're out of work, we're just on the couch, kind of trying to figure out the next steps. So
yeah, that's crazy. So like getting that call, right? Like they say luck is being prepared when the opportunity crosses your path, right? And so you get this call. Homies have ideas all the time. Like like homies always have ideas. Like, yo, got a new business. Oh man, like LLC made, like it's every blah blah blah. Like, what made you say, yo, this is a great idea, and I'm actually about to tell Emmanuel about it too? Like, what resonated with you when Jesse reached out?
You know what, man? I always say this was ordained. There was like a higher power at work when this all came down. Mind you, I hadn't talked to these guys in over 20 years.
So
you know what I'm saying?
Hold on. So let me make this. So hold on. So you get a call out the blue about bourbon and a business. Black folks asking for money and time, and you ain't and have not heard from this man in 20 years.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I had a feeling. I had a feeling, man. I was like, you know what? This got to be serious. If I hadn't talked to this man in over 20 years and he's coming to me with this, it's got to be something real. And when I heard about it, when I heard about what he wanted to do, I immediately was like, okay, I got to catch the vision. And so, we were talking through the process, man. We met every week, and we were just kind of developing the whole vision, man, and kind of talking it out, writing it out, building it out. And as we started doing that, I'm like, yo, we got something. I'm like, this is a space that we need to be in. Like, we need to be making these decisions. We need to see people like us doing something like this. And so I was all in. Once we started digging into it and, doing the research, and I was like, okay, this is a go. And so we were missing one part. And, Emmanuel is a smart individual, man. He's a go-getter, ambitious. He had contract negotiation skills. I knew we were going to have to deal with some contracts. I was like, you know what? I got to pull my cousin in this, man. I was like, I talked to the boys, and they were like, yo, all right, let's do it. And again, that next week, Emmanuel and his family came to visit. I threw him on the call. I was like, hey, this is my cousin right here, and boom, here you go. And I mean, They just gravitated, what I'm saying? And the connection was there instantly. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like it was awkward or it was weird. We had some awkward moments, on a couple of calls. Talk about it. But it was like-minded individuals, man. We're all like-minded, and we all had the same goal, and that's just to be successful and to do things with the spirit of excellence, man. And here we are.
Wow, man. Shout out to that, man.
And to piggyback on that real quick, though Tuck was that guy that kind of so if you have a vision in your head and you're passionate about it, one of the hardest things to do is sell that passion. Not the vision itself, but sell that passion. And I remember we won a call, and I don't even know if you remember this, Tuck. Tuck's like, man, I can give a damn about the vision, bro. I'm in here because of you and Brian. And when he said that, I knew for a fact that it was next level. Right. And now I'm like, how do I sell the vision without putting so much passion in it? Because the passion is what, I'm passionate about it. He may not give a damn about the passion that we have. And so bringing him in and selling him on that passion piece, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's a passion project, but this is what we can do. And then bringing Ian, somebody who didn't even really, I don't know if he drank, but he definitely didn't drink bourbon. Mm-hmm. And how do we sell it to him? How do we sell that passion for him? And he was on board from day one. And I'm like, this dude bought this snake oil. No, I'm joking. It wasn't snake oil, but he was the one that was like, yo, y'all got an idea, you have a concept, you got a vision, but let's make it tangible. Let's put these a derivative from the corporate world. Let's do contracts instead of just calling our homeboys like, hey man, I need 50 grand. He was like, hey, let's put in contract. Let's do equity. all of those terms that you hear in business, that's when it got real. It got real, and some of the opportunities he was seeking, we were like, damn, bro, this is getting like. Hey, Brian would always text us like, it's a real company now. And I was like, yeah, man. We using all the terminology, and it was supposed to build into that. How Tuck said it was ordained, but when it started getting real, I think the passion started spreading throughout the group. It wasn't just like this is his project, and the fact that we all started at the same time, we grew at the same pace. So none of us knew what we were doing. And now we all kind of like piggyback off each other, and we're experts. Hey, B is the IT guy. I don't ever try to step in that world. Hey, he's the IT guy. Tuck is the merch guy. And so, but we all come together, and it's just something that it's magical, man. And I'm not saying that because it's our company. It's truly a magic moment seeing all these guys work and where we were. I look at some of the notes I took in 2020. I'm embarrassed reading these. Like, how in the heck did we think that this was going to work? I think we talking about backing up at the Centerfest and selling bottles out our trunk. I'm like, yeah, we're going to jail.
Yes.
I think,
go. Ian, sorry, bro.
Piggyback off you, man. I want to shout out these guys, man, because I think from day one, the first call, it was like, check your egos at the door. And it just stuck with me because it was like, I was like, man, like I was like, Court, like I thought I was like, hey man, it's dope. Now I don't drink bourbon. I was like, they got some story, but like the business of it wasn't running. But I don't want to come in there and I got on the call. Courtney and B both were like, look, man, you family. Let's do this. And when we check those egos at the door, he can tell you flat out, Court handled all these hoodies. That's all Court. But you look at our bottle. When we first started, our bottle, that was all beat. The label, the core, bro. I'm selling these calls.
Are we talking about this? Is this the OG? Is this the OG product?
The OG.
Like this is the OG product right here.
Every
and this
detail,
is the OG
bro.
branding. Like it came out the gate like this. It came out the gate like this.
No. Wait, before it came out, it was 7 weeks. Hours on end calls, Brian sending Google photos. At one point, I'm like, look, B, just pick a label, bro. Like, I'm not. You see what I'm saying? Like but that's his skill set. He's an artist. He knows what to do. And so, like Jesse said, let everybody handle their lane. And when I saw the label, I'm like it was just.
Yeah,
bro.
It's fire, man. Let me let the people see the
There isn't
OG label.
There isn't a minute detail that doesn't mean anything up there. Even if you look at the ripples on the top of the label, it's designed to be a ticket from the Kentucky Derby in the 1800s.
Oh,
so there's nothing unintentional about that. But on the flip side, B made us sit through about 100 gigs of Art Deco photos, and it wasn't fun. But I got it. I know why he did it. I didn't see the vision at the time, but like when I saw the final product, I'm like, this dude is different, bro. He's different.
Man. This is. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like as say like. I consider myself an artist, and I consider myself like one of my homies, a homegirl, described me as an Epicurean, and so.
Wow.
I just
it's the third big word this whole podcast, bro. That's the third big word. I'm not calling you out.
I went to Winston. I gotta try to be like Stephen A. a little bit, at least every once and again, man.
Hey, but before you skip to that, feel the paper on the bottle. Feel it. So yes, when you take that Kentucky Derby ticket
textured.
And cash it in, that's the money you get. That's the money you get from the
So y'all use the same thing that they do at the Fed Reserve with that fibery sort of
well,
paper.
We can't disclose that, but yeah, we did.
Oh, my bad. Because it do look like money. I see how y'all got that on it. And as you say that, I'm like, okay, this is some fiber shit. Yeah.
And it was all that dude's brain. I'm like, why is that important? Why is that important? And
yo, I ain't gonna lie to you. Now that you say that, this is like now it's crazy. It's even crazy. I'm over here on the camera by myself, like looking into a bottle. Let me get the live back right. My bad, man. Like, yo, this is crazy. Yeah, no, I appreciate you mentioning those details because I definitely I'm sensory. So you know, when you pick something up, even if you can't describe why, it just feels good. You know, like even if you can't describe why, it looks good, it smells good, you know, and it's attractive. And when I saw the bottle out of the blue in the store, it immediately was like, oh, Hillside, like
And that's what he designed it to do. And I mean, like every call, he was like, "Hey man, here's what I want y'all to do. Hey, take this money, go into a liquor store, and the first bottle you gravitate to, grab it and tell me why you grabbed it." I'm like, "Why are we doing this, bro? We just trying to put bourbon in a bottle." And he was like, "Trust me, slow down, relax. Trust me, it's gonna be." And me and he would text like, "Man, be bugging, bro. You bugging." But then I'm like, it makes so much sense.
Like a whole Google Drive of literally like 75 folders. I'm like, look, man, look.
But it all makes sense, bro. It all makes sense now. Like it's something in the head of his, bro, that I'm just like, I don't get it.
That's the artistic brain, you know, like you might cut the same song 20 ways just with a drum this way or a snare this way, and you just like, and it's the same thing, but you're just trying to do little tweaks here and there. Like I appreciate the slow boil, if you will, the slow approach, because if I just take a step back, like I think, and I do want to kind of talk about, like, because we talking about business. Now I like business. That's just actually something that gets me kind of like, I like business. I like to talk about it. I like the competitiveness of it, the game of it, which as I've grown in corporate, one of the goals of this podcast is to hopefully, so I come from, my corporate background is in sales, and one of the goals of the podcast for me is to help introduce people from backgrounds who they don't necessarily know how qualified they are to be professional salespeople. They already got the skill sets, they already got the mindset, they already got the capabilities. They just might not know about the opportunities out there to professionalize what they are already naturally gifted at. And when we talk about building a business, man, I often think that we as a community are better marketers than business people. And we'll sometimes like want to rush to get it out there quickly and advertise it, and that will look good. But then when the attention then brings in the customers, and then it's time to actually try and like make a business out of it and make some money, the customer service ain't quite there, the follow-up ain't quite there, like, and it kind of leaves a bad taste in the customer's mouth. You
speaking, dude.
It's an unfortunate, to me, it's an unfortunate reality of our people doing business. And I gotta highlight, like, you all not only took your time, it's clear that this wasn't overnight. Like, it's just clear, like, this is the like you said, you can't always say why, but then you get the tour and they start telling you all that, it's like, oh wow, and then you start putting all the pieces together. Like any artist, I think any entrepreneur would naturally appreciate that. And hearing the story on here, I'm appreciative that you're here to share that, because we gotta take our time with our ideas. We can't just rush and put it out there if it's not ready. And you all were definitely ready. That's what I gotta say, man. So shout out to y'all for that approach.
Thank you. Hey man,
doing it the right way.
Hey, real quick, shout out to Sober Bourbon Girl in the comments, man. Amazing young lady, man. She's a bourbon enthusiast that don't drink. So if you follow her, please follow her, man. She's awesome. And shout out to Angelo, our brother. Man, hey man, he's definitely, his DNA is all over this, and people don't even realize it because he chose to stay in the background. So I'm gonna tell this story, and he's gonna be pissed off at me, but I don't care. He'll text me in a little bit. So me, Brian, and Angelo went to a distillery during the pandemic, and that distillery was making hand sanitizer. Well, the distillery let us put our hand in the still at like this 180 proof concoction. I don't even know what the heck it called at this point, but so the dude was like, just rub your hands with it, right? And Angelo was like, yo, this would be the dopest hand sanitizer ever. We laughed and joked, said it was stupid. Fast forward to the pandemic, the government made every distillery produce hand sanitizer. Mm-hmm. So Angelo had $1 billion idea before it was $1 billion idea. It was stupid. So because of him, man, me and Brian had the courage to push this to the levels that we did. So that's our brother.
What is he talking about right here, Angelo? What are we talking about right here, man? What is
he know what it is, bro. He know what it is, bro. So
Blew
love
the
you,
spot,
brother.
Man. Shout out to Angelo, man. We got you.
Top shelf installers, man.
Hey,
Top shelf. That man's a
He
good
said
Top
it's
shelf
all-
installers, man. If y'all need anything installed, call that brother, man. That's our brother.
man.
Word.
brother.
I ain't mean to change subject, man. I had to.
Nah, man. I appreciate that. And just getting back to the the fact that y'all took y'all time with the business, y'all sort of highlighted like, oh, I'm this person. I gotta admit, like, especially as Black males, especially from Durham, if I gotta be honest, like, it's just a natural, like, sort of way you carry yourself. Like, if I gotta be honest, like, it's just naturally like, I'm good. Like, it's like, I'm good. I think that's pretty common. And so working with people and trusting people and accepting a role with other people, you know, I see that you all have the same title, co-founding, managing directors, but can you just kind of speak to how you all have defined roles and honor those roles as a group, just to give people an idea of how that can be possible when you have a group of 4 individuals who I'm sure all have their own egos and ambitions that they have to check when they're doing a business like this with 4 people?
I'm gonna default this to Mr. Burton because it's the way he thinks define exactly what you said, bro.
Yeah, the group dynamic, man. I guess you got to look at it this way, because all of us in our individual fields, we could just continue working and retire and be just old and gray. But for us to come together and actually decide that we want to do something together, that's even more, that's more astounding. If you're the strongest person in the gym, you need to go to another gym. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to go to another room. And it's the same here. We're here because we want to be here. We see the talents in everybody else, and looking through those talents, you not only are you a founder, you're a managing director. Everyone here can do the same job. There's no need to. But everyone can do the same job. I didn't design every bottle, you would think I did, but I didn't, but everything is being duplicated by another person. One, because we value everyone's skill set and ability to learn as well, and being able to learn and to sponge up the information and be able to bring forth some of your ideas. And I mean, because without Tuck, you think, okay, without Jesse, we don't have the comp. Without Brian, you don't have the bottle. Without Emmanuel, you don't have the contracts. Well, without Tuck, we don't have nothing. Let's talk about the bottom line. Like, without Tuck's idea for selling the stuff as merchandise to fund our first barrel, we're not here, instead of, trying to come out of pocket for everything. So it's just, all right, Tuck says this. Yeah, let's do that. We're supposed to be a bourbon company, but let's be a merchandise company for a little bit. And, it's just, he said it just not long ago. It's like, man, it's being able to trust someone to do something, I'm the same way as he, he spoke about that too.
How do you, because I know mistakes were made. We don't have to talk about the mistakes, but it's just inevitable. You don't do this without bumping your head a ton of times. And frankly, you're not going to do this without like bumping heads with each other, like probably some strong words toward one another at some point. Like, how do you deal with conflicts when you have something like this so that it doesn't rip you apart and it keeps everybody in harmony to keep it together?
Well, I mean, it's never disrespectful. This is business. Jesse can tell you, it'll be times me and him argue more than anybody.
Hey, but we never argued before this, though. We never argued. I can't even recall an argument before this.
Wow.
So we argue, and then like right after the call, we're like, "Hey man, where we going to go? Get a drink from? Where we going to eat? Let's go do something."
He told me one time, like, "I'll text you a punk in the morning." I was like, "No, bro, I'm ready to fight right now. Let's go.
Let's do it now." And I guess it's being civil with one another. Respecting another person. Definitely. Just having that respect goes a long way. And so we brought you here for a reason. The last thing I'm gonna do is try to be disrespectful to you. I shouldn't have never did business with you. you know.
Right.
And so and that's where it comes in, you know. Hey man, we knew this going in that hey, we're gonna argue, we're gonna be at different ends of the table. Still doesn't matter. We got a common goal in mind. So let's just get to the common goal. It's more than one way to accomplish that. So if we take a bad road, we do a bad decision. I'm not gonna dump on you. I'm not gonna remind you 10 months down the road. You know, I might joke to you about it so you get over it, but I'm not gonna, you know, take a dig at you. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna take a dig at you.
Yeah.
So that's the way it is because we love each other, you know, and we don't want another person to feel ostracized or not or unwanted.
Yeah. To piggyback off that too, if you will. Oh, sorry, Jess. But like accountability for us is key. You know, we hold each other accountable. You know, accountability is there, and we communicate. So like nobody's making a decision outside of the group. Everybody communicates. We all made that bet known. Hey, we got to know what you're doing outside. Everybody has to be on the same. May not be on the same page initially, but everybody has to get on the same page. And so we talk it out. We talk through it. We pick it apart, and then we make a decision.
Hence why we don't have the typical CEO titles. We are geographically spread out. I don't have time to wonder if B is making the same decision as Courtney or if Emmanuel is speaking the same language as us. We just know that it worked. And if you pick up our bottle, and
which one?
If you pick up our bottles, there, the white label, there's 5 lions on that bottle, and a lot of people don't know the significance of those 5 lions. But it's, and B can explain the story. But Tuck always say that we're like Voltron. Our problem is like, hey, we'll just put a pretty face as the head, and we're the arms and legs that's out there doing the work. I don't care who the face is. Give me my left hand. I'll go out here and source bourbon with E, and I'll let B handle the IT. I'll let Tuck handle the merch and the cigar. So I'm not worried about that. I can focus on my craft and become a subject matter expert in what I need to because I know the back end is running the way it's supposed to. I know if E have questions, he's gonna call me. If I got questions, I'm gonna call E. It's just the way we work, and it's just something magical, man. And I think the fact that we were able to humble ourselves and actually just like all of us successful in our own rights. Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies, right here on this call. But like we humble ourselves to come together to produce an amazing spirit.
Getting to the spirit, right? Like you said, there was a big time bourbon guy who sort of like opened up the door, but doesn't realize they opened up the door. Because I do want to get to the bourbon, like the actual bourbon, the whiskey, the rye. Like what? How did it go from bourbon to rye? Like so. This big time bourbon guy, like, what can you tell me about this person and how they influence the big spark, if you will?
Well, I start. Well, you can take this one, B.
Yeah, OG man. So OG man, he introduced us to the bourbon world. You know, he was the one that took me to the races. He taught me how to enjoy the spirit and what you're tasting. And this is a good one. This is a not so good one. You know, he was just a guiding force and giving us that to a Colonel Taylor, like Jesse said, was like, man, that was it. That was the flint that sparked the fire, you know. and OG man, we named the bottle after his mom for her passing, because she was a cool lady. I actually knew her, and so everything is full circle that you actually have that bottle, right now during the podcast. That means a lot to us, significantly. And yeah, man, Mike is Mike was really cool, man. He opened, he took Jesse and I in open arms, man. It's just like, here, man, let me show you all of this. And it was just so happened that when I finally introduced Jesse to him, he was about to move away, and it was like,
yeah.
Does he look like you, or does he
look
different?
Oh no, not at all. Actually, OG his name's Mike. He's from Charlotte. He went to
West Charlotte.
West Charlotte. Yeah, West Charlotte.
Yeah, he went West Charlotte.
Yeah,
okay.
He's older than us. That's why we call him OG.
Mike.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
White guy too.
So that's why that's exactly what I was trying to ask without asking.
I figured that's what she was asking, but I wanted to make sure.
Exactly what I was trying to ask without asking. We gotta code it.
So to touch on that subject, that's a touchy subject for us. So Hey, so we could get into that if you want, but
Yeah, absolutely.
so OG didn't look like us. So in this process, when we got started, I told Brian, I was like, so none of us knew what we were doing. We had particular skill sets, but we didn't know how to apply them to the bourbon world. So I reached out to a couple companies, and I was like, "Yo, I want to reach out to the people that look like the people that's going to be on the call." And bro, they kind of like shunned us a little bit, and
I mean,
and
you're doing cold outreach, right?
I know, yeah. So I'm like, yo, he had to have the same struggles we did. Like, I'm gonna call him and set it up. Like, hey, let's meet for lunch. And this guy didn't even text me back. He didn't do nothing, man. And then me and Brian had the privilege of running into this guy after we were up on our feet, and the narrative completely changed. But to piggyback on that, there was somebody that looked like us that opened that Rolodex to us, and we will not have the access to what we have access to if it wasn't for him. So I don't want to tell the horror stories about, like, hey, we don't take care of our own or whatever, but this dude really did. And I can call him right now and ask him for whatever I need to ask him to. And he's a brother, but there was some people that look like us that felt we was a threat to them and didn't want to do anything for us.
So it's competition to some degree. Yeah, it is business.
Really competition? Is it really competition?
You're less than 1% of the whole thing.
Of the $1 billion market share.
$8 billion industry. There's there's enough pie out here for everybody. So we gotta stop that mentality of we're always in competition. We're not. We're not competition. We should all.
I appreciate you saying that, because like I can imagine, like I do want to sort of like, you had the idea and then you have to start to build it, and you have to get access to facilities. I imagine, like, this is distilled and aged in Kentucky. What is that process like in the beginning, just to secure a relationship with the distillery to do this? Like,
how much time we got left?
How long you want to go?
Yeah, bro, it's 8:48. How much time we got?
I got plenty, because and I got plenty more to report. Like I got, like, because so let me just say, I'm a novice sort of guy when it comes. I would consider myself a novice, but what I know about the history of bourbon is that it at one point you couldn't call it bourbon if it wasn't in Kentucky, and then
so that's the myth.
Then
that's
they
the myth, not
that.
Kentucky. It can't be Kentucky straight bourbon.
Kentucky straight, okay. Yeah. But now they have like Indiana straight, Colorado straight. I done seen so many different straight states in the ABC store.
Hey, bourbon is just a classification of whiskey. All right, and bourbon has to be at least 51% corn in the new white oak charred barrel and aged at least 2 years. That's the minimum requirement. So anybody can produce that all over the world. But the creme de la creme is Kentucky straight.
And what makes Kentucky straight the creme de la creme?
So one is the limestone laced water sources. So limestone removes all the impurities, the iron and the magnesium from the water, which allows it to be the perfect mix of that. And it has 4 distinct seasons. That is the key to that Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio region. That's the key. It's the limestone laced water source.
It's like New York say they got good bagels because of the water, and so you saying Kentucky got good bourbon because of the water. So it's literally something in the water that's doing it.
Actually, it's what's not in the water that makes it. Believe it or not, it's what's not in the water. Because if you know anything about limestone, it's an impermeable rock, and it naturally filters all of the calcium out of the water. And the calcium, if you ever had bad bourbon, I guarantee calcium in it. It has a high level of calcium, and that's what the limestone lace does.
So what makes what makes good bourbon versus not good bourbon? Like what makes it good into you?
I'm scared to answer this, man.
Question.
I don't know. Because
when you look at the fancies, because I haven't been to any American distilleries. I went to some Irish ones when I was in Ireland, and like I did the little tasting at the Jameson joint and a couple other places, and they actually teach you how to taste the whiskey, which is you know, when you're growing up, you don't necessarily appreciate what you're drinking. And so you just drink it, but then it's like you learn how to appreciate and see the color and smell the notes and do the little Kentucky chew and get the whole like flavor of everything going.
Dude
like
did his homework.
Like I'm curious, like, were y'all into that sort of scene before making bourbon? Like, did you know how to taste it? Were you in that crowd?
Think Brian was, because and it's your palate, right? Your palate is attached to your brain. So if you've never tasted or smelled it, you can't get those notes out of it. So the more your palate is diverse, the more you can taste the notes. Like, we had a gentleman, the dude said he tastes fig. I'm like, I never had a fig. So I don't even know what a fig tastes like. So of course I'm not gonna get that note out of it. And yeah, man. So Brian is a master at that tasting those stuff. I just be like, you taste what?
Right.
Yeah, but
I be trying. I can't do it. I be trying to smell all the flavors. I just can't do it that good, man.
Well, if you actually want to taste all the flavors and not be, you know, really, you know, have a diverse palate, just grab a piece of dark chocolate, chew it, put it around your mouth, take a sip of bourbon. It'll bring out all the flavors we're talking about.
Oh wow! So when we getting tips from the experts, man. Shout out to that, man.
Shout out to you ladies, man. Shout out to you ladies. Hey, friends, I mean, just cool.
And so what I mean, cut you off, but what's crazy about is Emmanuel. Like, when we first started, this dude was like, yeah, it's good. And now this dude called me like, hey, Jesse, man, I hear this barrel got some undertones. I'm like, I'm Googling what some of the stuff he said. We created a monster, bro. We created a monster.
I didn't mess with bourbon. I'm a wine champagne dude, natural, right? And then I mean back in the day, younger, right? Some Ciroc, you know, like I was getting, but definitely no bourbon. Jack Daniels with Coke. So I mean, this is why, like, you know, to get earlier when you talk about being a beast, like I felt honestly intimidated because I'm like, I don't know bourbon like that. So when we get on a call and Jesse and B talking about the mash bill and was this and was that, I'm like, I'm like, look, man, y'all call me like, you know,
yeah, okay.
we get together and they go to tasting, they sip in a glass. I'm like, man,
Chevalier.
Hey, mix it with some Sprite or something, bro. I can't drink this. You know, but eventually, like, I got, you know, for during the pandemic when they hit it on, I'd just go to the store. I would just grab whiskey when just try and just said the palate would change. But they had to trust me to be like, this dude. They probably was like, this dude don't even know bourbon. How we gonna start it? How you gonna run a bourbon company? Like, you know what I mean?
Hey, true. If I could be transparent, we didn't listen to anything you say. It was a 3-person vote. So me, Brian, kind of like, yeah, he don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, we good.
It's like when you give the little kid the controller and you just say, yeah, you playing the game.
Everybody plugged in.
We got to pick our first barrel, and just like we sourced it from X, we got this mash bill, bro. This was me the whole call.
Hey, but to tell you the growth, and he called me the other day. He was like, "Hey, man, I'm thinking about sourcing these barrels. Here's what they taste like." I'm like, "Created a monster. My child is."
Yeah, so they had to, and I think it goes back to what you said is we had to, you know, really trust each other to be experts in the field, because it was like, okay, once we get, I literally was like talking to Corey. I was like, man, I can't really. Was like, once we get this bottled, then it's your time. And I think everybody had their time, because starting off, Jesse was doing it, and B had it, and then Court, like I said, he had the merch. He was getting us cash to fund the barrels. So I was just in there, just like wait, like almost like a baton, like at the track. And I'm like, then as soon as we got the bourbon, it was like, all right, now it's my time. Let's get these contracts. Let's get these accounts going. And now, you know what I'm saying, everybody's in their field, so they can, you know, trust me. Like Jesse, they don't know. I can tell you right now, every single account we're in right now. They don't need to know. All they know is we're selling. We got the price. You know what I'm saying? We just trust each other to do that. And so again, it goes back to let your ego, leave it at the door. Leave it. If something goes wrong. Hey, Jesse, what you think about this? Hey, Court, there's a new shirt coming. What's your about? Hey, B, bro, I can't get my Google Suite to work. Can you please?
Right.
Hey, I text you today. I was talking to somebody trying to get into an ABC board. I'm like, how much is our bourbon? in North Carolina, he was like, bam, bam, bam. I'm like, all right. The lady was like, oh, you don't know the process? I do, but he's the master, and I want to confirm with him before we do anything. So
that, this is like you said, fund the barrels. I ain't trying to get into your business and your bottom line. I would like to know though, like, fund the barrel. Like, if I wanted to make, I heard what you said, the bare minimum I need is 51% corn in the mash and age it 2 years, and what you said, a straight white oak or a new white oak barrel? Is that
this guy got it, bro.
a new white oak barrel? Correct,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, and then I gotta age it at least 2 years, and I can call that shit Durham straight bourbon. And if I did it right,
whoa. Well, I didn't tell you that. I didn't. Very aggressive.
We'll let it slide.
This dude did create his own category, bro. I will tell you, and you will win gold with that because you're going to be the only person in the category. Nobody else competes with you, bro.
Hey man, hey, as long as I finish first, that's all that matters. And so
you will.
And so, if I wanted to get a barrel, what is what's the market for just a barrel? Just like, and how much bourbon will a barrel yield? I'm just curious. One barrel, how much would I get out of that? And I'll leave it at
Nobody can answer that question.
Nobody. It's not like going to the grocery store and buying cereal where you're going to get 8 ounces. You might get 6 ounces. You might get 10 ounces. It's an ever changing experience.
So let me reframe. What is the expected range or expected yield that you would anticipate from a barrel?
Depends on the age.
Depends on how old it is, where it's been.
All right, so I love this. All right, so let's start.
Mother Nature gonna take her share. Mother Nature gonna take her share.
Mother Ruby was 4.7 years barrel age.
What's the bottom number? What's the number on the bottom?
140. This one that got killed is 147. This one's 180.
Yeah,
okay, so he's got about 180 bottles out of a barrel.
At least. I think that one too.
Like you said, so you do one barrel per, and you don't mix the like it all comes from a single barrel. Got you. So what has been your most disappointing barrel to date?
Ooh.
How many bottles?
The one that cracked, but we didn't even.
The one that cracked. Yeah.
You didn't get one. You get a little taste.
Nah, shoot, it was horrible.
It was over.
Wow.
It was horrible, bro.
Heartbreak.
Like, can we talk about that? Like.
No.
I gotta just twist the knife a little bit. Like.
So I'm just gonna tell you, when it comes to curveballs, like everybody talk about curveballs. So this was in December. We got tornadoes in Kentucky. We got ice storms. We got a snowstorm and a blizzard. So we dump these barrels, and you're supposed to turn them around in a certain amount of days, but these guys are stranded in the wilderness somewhere. So we got the yields. I text E like, bro, I'm about to cry. I am about to cry. Like it was that bad. But we had a motto of this is what every barrel is going to produce, and this was our smack in the face to that motto. So my Excel spreadsheet was tragically compromised, and I can't use it anymore.
Yeah.
So I had a certain amount because our first barrel blessed us. I think we got it. That was like, yes.
We were like 260, 270.
Yeah, 280 bottles out of that thing. 280 bottles out of that thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, why are you bringing up old stuff, man?
You're like, hey, we're
crying over here, bro.
Heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because as like that bourbon was already pre-sold.
It was. Right. It was.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh man. And so this is the perfect example of what you're talking about. So it's okay. Well, this happened. So are we gonna sit here and argue over this, or are we gonna figure out what we're gonna do? That's just one of those examples of where does your patience lie? Does your patience lie in what you expect or the overall expectation?
It's never gonna be a straight line. So you just have to be prepared for when it curves or dips or whatever it does. and embrace the fact that it's gonna go back the other way at some point. You just we gotta be sure you're on top of riding that wave, man. Like that to me is one of the things that I enjoy about the world of business is the volatility. Sometimes you don't certain roles, you don't know what you're gonna do when you show up in the office that morning. You just don't know what's coming, and having the willingness to deal with problems on the fly without emotions, keeping the mission at the forefront, like that is, man, shout out to y'all, man, because I don't know the horror stories. I just know they're there. I know that they're there, and you don't get to this point without overcoming what you have to overcome to even see what you see, man. So shout out to y'all again, man, because
each one of us have had an idea to fail, man. Each one of us have had an idea to fail, or a task to fail, and you feel like trash, man. And the last thing anybody is gonna do is be like, "Hey, man, I knew you were gonna go."
The crazy part,
that was a bad.
Hey, Paul, he'll bring it up. I was like, damn, I don't even remember that. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And it's still on the back of your mind. I remember, man, when I saw those barrels, it's like, man, what talking about?
There's that proverb scripture, man. Do not despise small beginnings. It's like never forget. I remember literally calling Jesse, and I was like, we had a check that we had to cash. We literally cashing it at the airport because we need to deposit and clear a bot. Like, I mean, we literally B, when the email crashed, I'm calling B, hey man, the bank said something that bounced back. Can you then when they done the East Coast time, I'm hitting court up at 11 o'clock. Court, we gotta get this done. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? We look back and literally laugh. Like,
beautiful journey.
It's been a journey, man. It's been a journey, bro. I can't even knock it, man.
So I really appreciate y'all, man. I got to take advantage of this because we got the rye too. We talked about the bourbon, but the rye. Like, when did this idea? Because if this is the OG, and this is it's more premium priced. I have to say it is more premium priced. I feel like I'm driving. I went from the Accord to the Acura. I went from the Camry to the Lexus here. And I have to say, just so like I said, I have started to try to appreciate as I build, as I am a member. Shout out to Bull City Bourbon Club, man. I did be able to get into that club here recently, and they have some nice bottles that they tend to get with different distillers. I mentioned y'all to the club when I filled out my application. I said it'd be nice to have a Bull City Bourbon Club Hillside bottle. I'm just saying. But aside from that, like with rye, like compared to bourbon, so okay, I hear what you're saying that like bourbon is has to be 51% corn, typically includes rye and some barley. Now, from a rye standpoint, what I noticed about this rye compared to other ryes, in my opinion, now I think I actually did taste some apple. Now I think I tasted some apple, but outside of that, it's not as spicy as the traditional ryes that I tend to collect, if you will. Like rye kind of has like a certain like spice to it, in my opinion, that's different than bourbon. And when I sip this, especially after tasting them sort of back to back, you can definitely taste that why it's a premium price compared to the other. I can taste the premium, if you will. But for it to be a rye and be even like smoother and not as like bitey, like this is different. I gotta admit, this isn't like most ryes, in my opinion. So I don't know, like what are your thoughts on this rye? Like, how did it even come to be? Let me just put it in a screw on time. But like, how did we get from bourbon to the straight rye whiskey?
So it was actually, man. So we only 1,000 bottles is what we did.
Yep.
We only made 1,000 labels, so it was strictly a project. It was just like, hey, we're gonna do this. Anything that help us tell the stories of the jockeys. This is what we're gonna do. And even the name, The Last Ride. Isaac Murphy, who is the prominent jockey on our label, he has a stage play named The Last Ride, RIDE. So we took a play on that and made it The Last Ride. And that's what we did. I'm not a rye guy, but that's the rye that I drink. So the feedback that we were getting, he would call me, he's like, man, they love the rye. I'm like, seriously? And Tuck was like, yo, that rye is fire. I'm like, bro, what is wrong with y'all? And Brian was like, yo, and so Brian was my only hope. And when he was like, yo, that ride might be better than the Kentucky Straight, I'm like, yo, I'm transferring to a new company. I don't like these dudes no more. And then when I tasted it, I was like, you know what, bro? I don't want to disrespect our baby. But to go back in, this was our vision for the company. The rye was from day one, but we just wasn't where we needed to be to make that our flagship. So I recall the moment almost a year ago when we went to distillery and saw those bottles. And I'm gonna call you out, Mr. Burton. This dude is I call him my thug on the team. If we need some back end stuff handled, if we need Brian is the guy. When he saw that bottle and he got choked up, I had to walk outside because I was like, yo, that's what I do. That's where I lean on for strength. It was the vision that we had from day one.
This bottle, when you saw this like live for the first time, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Because the first bottle is what we released, but this is our baby from the Black Jockey story to tell everything. This was our thing. And when we saw it, bro, like I had to walk outside and they didn't see me get emotional, but I was choked up, bro. Like,
yeah,
I was looking back at the pictures the other day. I wasn't smiling in none of those pictures because I was just like, this is when our company got real.
Yeah, man, the manifestation is so powerful. Like you should cry when you see the work. That's
these dudes that call me out. So these dudes like, hey, man, I remember when they were crying in the corner. I'm like, so I try not to cry. But
so hold up. So okay. So you say you this is like the original, and we shared that story about the jock. So tell me this from a business standpoint. What made you say, you know, before we come with this, we need to start with this and focus on Hillside as a school and connecting to the city? Like, was that strategic? Like, now I'm going into my other mind here. Like, were you like, you know what, before we go here, we need to connect with home first and come out the gate? Because you know from Durham, hey man, we ain't putting, hey man, they can come out with that $75 bottle, man. You know what I'm saying, man?
Speak on it.
Speak on it. Typically in the bourbon world with your label, you tell your story. So so that's why the white label was first, because it told our story, where we were from, who we are, what we're about. The second label was, yo, this is why we're here. This is what we came to tell you all. And I mean, we've had many people tell us, you can't do that. That's not what you're supposed to do.
That part.
And at the end of the day, we get to we joke about it. I ain't really got to call nobody to ask for approval. I don't have to schedule a meeting with somebody, I got to go talk to my higher ups, none of that. So we chose to do this as we wanted to do it. We're going to roll out our white label. We're going to tell everybody who we are, where we're from, what we're about. And then on the second label, we're going to tell you the story we wanted to tell everybody. We wanted to tell this unsung story of our culture, and the significance of it in this, particular world. This is who we are. And, we're going to continue to tell stories. We got more stories to tell. This is just the beginning, you're just the beginning.
Just the beginning. So like, with that said, man, I greatly appreciate y'all's time. I'm going to start to sort of close it out here, but we talk about future on the pod. Like the thing I love about this story, if I can for a second, like my podcast, I try to focus on those 5 F's: family, friends, finances, freedom, and future. The friendship here that led to a financial business relationship, each of you are sort of viewing as a vehicle for future generations to take further advantage of. Like, I have been critical of this idea of generational wealth. I've been critical of the term. I've been critical of how it's been used. And I call it a myth for several reasons, generational wealth. But I have heard the term used, and I've heard it used in regard to like how you all envision this brand. So, I'd be curious to hear from, honestly, everyone, what generational wealth is for you and how you envision this manifesting itself to be that in the future.
You want to start?
That's a good question, man. I'll jump in there. I think for me, coming from a corporate environment, working in corporate for 23 years, I've never had anything that I can call my own, right? I'm making money for another entity. I'm making money for someone else. This gives me an opportunity to make money for myself. This gives me the opportunity to be proud of something that I produced and I put my blood, sweat, and tears into and created something that I can share with my family, that I can share with my friends, that I can share with my kids and grandkids. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm doing for me is leaving a legacy that to be remembered by, right? Because working a 9 to 5, working a corporate job, they don't care about you. You can drop dead tomorrow and they'll hire somebody else. With this, it gives me an opportunity to say, hey, put my stake in the ground. This has my name on that. We can take this as far as we want to take it. There's no ceiling. And so that's just what it means for me. And I think that I'm doing it with my brothers, people I care about, like-minded individuals that we want to go to the same place. That's what generational wealth means for me in this project.
Okay, I appreciate you sharing that. Who else?
Go ahead, E. Go ahead. Y'all go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? Generation wealth. I think to piggyback on Courtney being in corporate America a few years back, I'll never forget. I'm working for an executive, and we closed a big deal, for multi-million-dollar company, and then they had the nerve to say, "Oh yeah, we're going to give you guys some bonuses this year," and it was like, well, the bonuses. I want to get the bonus. The company closed for like a couple billion, and you're giving us little slabs off of it, right? And that corporate America structure, just like I said, when they called me, this is what I knew in 2020. I was like, I want something of my own. I want my daughters to be able to say, daddy built something for them. And then you don't have to go the typical route. For me, being a legal professional, I am always the only brother in the room, always. And I got tired of going into companies and being like, oh, this is just what you have to do. And you got to work twice as hard and prove yourself. I don't have to prove myself anymore when I'm in my own. This is my safe space with these brothers, man. And so for me, generation wealth, yeah, the money is one thing, but it's also be able to make my decisions and go as I please and have a safe space to me to operate. I can get on the call these brothers and not have to disguise my voice and go corporate, and that's what we have to do every day, a 9 to 5. So it's I can literally look and say that we built something, and I want my kids to be able to say, wow, daddy did that. So that's what it means for me.
Okay, I appreciate that insight.
I'll go and let B close. I think I realized the generational piece when we did our first event, and my son was there beside me. This guy's seen me, he's seen me, the lowest of the low and the highs of the high, and have him in the trenches with us, laughing at the stories about how I used to take these guys lunch money in high school and just being a part of what we actually started. That was my link to generational wealth. But then I moved recently, and me and Brian was traveling on a weekend. I moved, and so my daughter and her friends kind of packed up, and she basically packed my bourbon up in like specially wrapped packaging, and it was like, yo, you can't drop this. This is my dad's collection, and it was bottle one. It was the first five. It was the first bottle we ever bottled. And the first barrel out of the Last Ride series. She was treating that like it was a freaking amulet from the 1500s, bro. She was carrying this like nobody else takes this. And that's when I realized that my passion has spread it to them, because they're so protective of everything that I've created or everything that we've created, I meant to say. And I was like, dang, man, you could have just threw it in the wagon and brought it upstairs. She was like, nah, I want nobody touching this but me. Hey, so that is my definition of generational wealth.
Okay.
Yeah, man. That's good, man. I think for me, man, when E and I hadn't spent any time together, so we flew out to California for a launch party. We were going to San Francisco. This was the first time me and him ever like just sat down. We were riding. He said, man, B, what is the number, man? Tell me the number. What is the number for you? What is it? It's 10, 15, whatever. What is that number? I said, man, it ain't the number, man. I want to die a legend. I said, man, I die a legend, son. My family can eat off of this. Y'all can eat off of this. Everybody can eat off of this. I said, I want to be a legend when I die. I said, so, that was my focus. I said, so everything, everybody's idea, I'm going to put 100% behind it, even if I feel a different way, man, I'm gonna put 110% behind it, make it shine, and do whatever it's got to do to go forward. So that's the wealth, man. The wealth of support, the wealth of knowledge, all of these things. So the wealth is monetary. That's great, but it's more than just that. It's more than just monetary.
I appreciate y'all all sharing those, because I do agree that generational wealth, in fact, really has nothing to do with money. Which is why I say it's a myth, and why I would argue that it's just, it's almost a detriment to some degree, I think, in the way that people sort of use it as a tool to get like social media attention, essentially. Like they want to put that in a post. They want to put that in something to like as a flex. Whereas like, and like, my family might see this, but I just gotta say it because it's the truth. And the reality is, and it's not just my family, it's a lot of families. And when we talk about generational wealth, having structures in place to maintain what is passed down is a huge piece of the puzzle. And way too often do, say, the people here now putting in the work, they put in all this work because they want to say have a legacy. And then when the legacy gets passed down, there's no guarantee of how that will be nurtured and taken care of moving forward. And in my personal experience, when I just look at what I come from, both sides of my family, I look at both of my grandparents and what their parents had and what has been given to one to the next on both sides. If I go to the next generation, grandparents, the bits that they did fight hard for, we don't own it anymore. The houses that they did have that they paid off, our family, we don't own them anymore. And then when I look at beyond that, the land, like, it is a lot of Black families who their people have land, acres to this day, just untouched, undeveloped. And what's going to happen to that land? Bill Gates, Oprah, when somebody's coming to take that too. And the reality is that we had these assets, and in the next generation, we as a community, we have to tool the next generation in a way that we weren't tooled. It can't be the same handoff of the baton. Like, we got to enrich them so that they know what it takes to actually not just inherit, but then take it and then make it something even better, the 2.0, the 3.0, like really take it and continue passing on the baton. I think our community, for, many reasons, institutionally, systematically, that's been a struggle. But I think for us to have generational wealth, we got to establish generational institutions that last throughout time, which as a community that has always been strategically targeted, that we don't get that. But it's time that we strategically, intentionally make the moves to create those things from even on all levels, from a media standpoint, from an entertainment standpoint, from an entrepreneurial standpoint. We need to actually own our HBCUs. We need hospitals. We need groceries. We need so many institutions that we just don't own. And until I think we really start focusing in more on these high level concepts of building something that can live without you, they'll just be able to take it right away. And so that's why I'm really like, that term generational wealth, like, I get it, but at the same time, what are you doing to establish an institution? And I think that you gentlemen, we don't know what the future holds, but this is an example, in my opinion, of how you build an institution. This has legs. It clearly has been thought out, and there's so much room to grow. And frankly, like you said, what's the number on this industry just for the bourbon? We ain't even talking about the white liquor. I know that's coming. What's just the market on the brown liquor? Can somebody give me that number one more time?
4 billion.
4 billion.
4 billion, right? And it's plenty of pie for everybody to get a slice. I know that old Hillside is definitely going to carve out their own slice in that. And I just want to shout y'all out for building something that I think actually has the ability to be institutional, not just, but institutional, man. So shout out to y'all. Before we get out of here, what could we expect in the future? I do like gin. I can't lie to you. Like if I'm being like me, I spent some time in Amsterdam. The Dutch put me onto the gin. I was on them
It makes
GNTs,
sense.
crazy out there. And I also spent time in Mexico. You know what I mean? So I love my tequila. So if we could get some gin tequila, that would be my preference. I would be set. This is my say. This is, I make a point too, let me just say this too, I make a point to buy this shit, all right? When I go to the liquor store and I go look around, don't get me wrong, I got selections, but I stay with this in the crib. You're not gonna come to my crib and not see
Day
old
one, bro.
Hillside, man.
Day
You're
one,
not
yeah.
gonna
Day
come
one.
to my crib
One
and see
love.
old
Day one.
Hillside, man.
One love.
So when you see people out there doing their thing like this, you need to make excuses to support them along the way and not make excuses to go get something else. Like we said, hey, we always drink Jack Daniels, all that other shit, but we got old Hillside, man. And y'all need to make sure y'all support that, especially if you out there drinking brown, man. Put that Hennessy down, man. Go pick up that old Hillside.
Yeah, man.
Stop playing, man. What we got coming up new, man? I know I went on a little tangent there, but we got any other sort of spirits in the future mindset before we drop?
Hey, one thing I say, man, never say what we're not going to do. I'm gonna tell you what we're going to do. Hey, so we have we do have a SKU that we're coming out with. I'm not going to indulge the name, but it's going to be focused on the bars and restaurants. So we are working on that, and then we did partner with a couple military organizations. And come Veterans Day, hey, you guys are going to see some stuff out there. So these guys working, man. I'm blessed and fortunate to have this team, man. Like my text messages. If anybody else wondering who's watching this, these are the guys that text me 99.9% of the time.
Word up.
Yeah, we just want to piggyback off that too, man. We do have cigars, premium cigars, Moscato cigars. We have premium cigars that are dipped in our bourbon.
And you can't like bust those open or nothing. You got to actually smoke the cigar. Okay, all right. Yeah, you got to make sure we let the audience know. You know what I'm saying? We got to let them know. This is kind of, you got to clip the end and just smoke the cigar, right? All right, making sure we know what to do with those. But no, I didn't know you guys had actual. So you got bourbon, whiskey, rye whiskey, cigars. What
Moscadelos.
What other type of merch? Like, let them know where to get it too. Where can they find this stuff? Where can they purchase it?
Yeah, we got a website coming. It'll be in about another 3 weeks. We'll have a website up. You'll be able to order directly. But we offer Glencairns. We offer rock glasses. We're thinking about doing some shot glasses. We're heavy on the merch. We'll be bringing the merch around. So there'll be a big announcement for everything, so that you'll be able to purchase and have your own, be a part of the group.
Your Glencairn got a more narrow nose than mine. Throw that up just let me see what you're working with over there. Is that the old Hillside? Okay, word up. Yeah, I need to get me.
It's bourbon and beats, bro. It's another series.
Okay.
Yeah, he ain't branded up correctly. See,
he got the one.
Okay, see,
I gave mine away. I gave mine away at festival. Sorry.
No, they actually stole them, but we'll be nice.
Fair enough.
We'll be nice to say he gave them away. Yeah, they actually stole them. But yeah, we have grog glasses and branded up with our shield, our crest, as well as the one you saw with our logo. So we'll have that coming soon, and you'll see a great big announcement for that.
Who's responsible for that crest?
Labor of love, man. Labor of love, man. Just
does that have the 5 lions on there too?
No, actually not. No, you got the bull representing the bull from Durham. Everybody got it on there. And then the Frisian horse, show horse with the black jockey on the back. We got the crown representing royalty. The gold, it would be gold flaking, and it just was in color. The gold flaking means something. We got the bourbon barrel in the middle. We got the shield that represents Black Wall Street in Durham. It's on the label, it's on the white label as well. So we just stay repping Durham, man. They repping Durham and putting out good products, man. We're trying to be like Ernie Barnes, man. What you talking about over here? You sold stuff to sold piece for $17 million. Eddie Murphy bragging on buying somebody's stuff from Durham, man. Come on now.
Yes, sir. Telling stories through bourbon, man. Founded in friendship. It's on every one of our bottles, and it will be on every one of our bottles moving forward.
Man, founded in friendship. And the 3 H's. Can I get them in the right order so I don't want to mess this up? Those 3 H's. What are they again?
History,
heritage, homage.
homage,
Yes,
History,
heritage,
homage.
that's it.
Man, any last
If it
words here
don't- if
before I
it
close
don't-
it out? There we go.
So I'm gonna start with this, man. Like growing up in Durham, man, we were all track stars, and a few of us high jump. And one of the things I want to say about high jump is that every time you raise the bar, there's going to be less and less people there competing against you. So we are constantly raising that bar. It's a high jump for us. We're raising that bar, trying to see how far we can get until it's just us left. It may never be that point, but we're going to keep pushing that bar and raising that bar.
I appreciate that. Fellas, any other last words before I close it out here with the outro?
We're creating a blueprint. We're creating a blueprint on how to do this. So, that's our goal. We want to be able to reach out to the community, bring in, the youngins and have them see something different. We want to get into a space where we never really been in. And so we're creating that space. We're creating that blueprint to do what we do and to do it better than us. So it's our goal.
Yeah, man. Just we're here, man. We're here to show the way. It's just like sneaking in the movies. We're gonna leave the side door open. If you come in, great. If you don't, it's on you. You can go pay if you want.
I'm using that too. I'm tweeting that tonight.
Like he said, man, I'm tired of being the only one in the boardroom. We tired of being the only one on the track at these events, man. We're gonna kick the door open. If you come in, great. If you want to try to go the other way, it's all on you.
Man, I gotta go to Kentucky, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've been nervous about taking that trip. Even I know Muhammad Ali from Louisville and everything. I'd be like, I don't know if that's the place I want to just spend my vacation, but like,
dope, bro.
If I do go, like, for someone like that's gonna go to Kentucky for the first time, where's the best sort of city for them to do like a nice bourbon experience?
Man, probably being in Lexington, being honest, because it's so central to everything. You can get to your Woodford, you can get to your Four Roses, all of the big time distilleries, Wild Turkey, you can get to all of that and still have that city feel, so that so you can just go out and go, hit the bars, hit the historic districts, and still get the full experience of being in a city and on vacation. So I would say Lexington.
I'm gonna put that on my list here in the next few months, man. I think I'm gonna have to do that. And being in the Triangle, like, how far is that drive?
9 hours, 8 hours.
Shit, I gotta get on a plane. All right, never mind. I gotta get on a plane. Nah, we not doing that.
Bro, we made that trip casually so many times, bro.
And we have done it in an effort to have bottles for an event.
Las Vegas.
We literally drove 8 hours one direction, picked up the bottles, drove 8 hours the next direction back home.
Dr. Smith, I see you, Las Vegas.
Lex Vegas. Man, fellas, I really, really appreciate y'all hopping on, man. I've been following y'all from, I think, I don't know when I first found out, but once I found out, I've been locked in, and I appreciate y'all because y'all just have been a great group, responsive. Jesse, that was the first person I got in contact with, and then Brian, now meeting Courtney Emmanuel. I'm really, really appreciative of y'all spending your time here on this platform and sharing that story. It was a great conversation. I think a lot of gems that people can pick up from. With that said, man, I don't know what the future holds, but I'm sure that I will be having y'all back on this platform to celebrate them new spirits when they come back around. That's one thing I'm confident in saying. This is the G Shit Podcast, where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom, and our future. Matter of fact, man, hey, I see them. Let me just do this the right way. We're going to cheers it out. We're going to play that music here, and we're going to get out of here and start the live, man. If you don't know, I know it's not in every state, but if you in North Carolina, you in California, you definitely need to make sure you got this at your bar, man. And
shout out Kentucky
as well. And don't sleep on this one here. Hey, look, I know what you're thinking when you see that, when you see it initially. Hey, it's worth it. I'm telling you right now. This right here, boy, that's that Lexus, all right? Mm-hmm. This is the G Podcast. Cheers to old Hillside, man. We out with the outro music. Cheers to y'all. I appreciate y'all.
Cheers, man. Cheers.
I'm not taking no talk back. You drink it?